Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be making universal pole from Naruto, and this will be a beginner friendly video because I think the move is pretty simple to make and we'll be using a simple method to make it. So first we must set up our moves and get everything prepared. So first you want to make a tool, and once you create your tool you want to go open up its properties and go down here and turn off the requires handle tab. And then for this part you can pause the video, but I need you to put in this script right here, and this will be our template. Now for the sound, if you want to make custom sound, that's your choice, but if you search up universal pole inside of the audio or toolbox, you'll find the exact sound that's used in the show, so that's pretty convenient. You press insert, it will place inside wherever you're selecting or inside the workspace, and you want to drag that inside of your tool. Now for the special effects, go into your toolbox again, search up VFX, find the biggest looking one, and just look for whatever you want to be the pole effect. Now this stuff looks really weird, but this is what the tutorial's for. I'll show you how to make it look normal inside the script. So I want like a circular script that like can make this be a pole that I can do a pole animation with. Like, you know, this could work. I could probably make it like shrink in, extend and then shrink in. Maybe this one looks cool. Yeah, really it's all a personal preference. Just pick a circular one. I'll pick a circular one for this video. I'll pick this one, and then unless you want to mix and match, you don't really need the rest. Now let me explain what the script does so far. So we have our tool variable right here, and just in case you don't know what script.parent means, script is a keyword for the script in this object menu in Explorer, and the parent is the object above it. See how if I take it out, the parent will change to starter pack because starter pack's above it. If I put it back into our tool, it will change back to universal pole. So script.parent will get the parent property right here, which is currently universal pole, which is our tool, and we don't want to change that. We want to always keep our tool as our parent. Our second variable is cooldown, which is a boolean, and then this line right here is tool.equipped. Now tool.equipped is an event, and I don't need to explain that what it does. Just so events allow you to use this connect method, which allows you to fire functions whenever this certain event occurs. And the event then the function we connected the event to, or the event connected to this function, is the tool.equipped event. That means every time this tool is equipped, it will connect to this function and fire it every time. Now every time it fires, we want to run our tool, right? We want to use our ability. Well, of course, we still want a cooldown, so that's what this if statement's for. If the cooldown is false, then it will run the move. Then it will turn on the cooldown, so you can't just trigger the event of equipping your tool, because no matter what happens, even if the cooldown's on, this event will always fire. That's why we need this if statement. It will turn on this cooldown, and it will become true. Now, if you're smart and paying attention, we need to turn the cooldown back to false if we want to meet this condition again, because right now it's true, but nowhere here does it say it will turn back to false. That's what this is for. There was a missing line, and I left that on purpose to see if you guys were paying attention. Now it's time to show you how the hitbox works. So I have a simple hitbox. It's a red transparent part named hitbox, and it will capture every player inside of here, be a target of universal pole. And now how do we move this hitbox in front of our character? I have a simple trick. It's called primary part with invisible part. This will be our invisible part. I'll call this the anchor part too, and I'm gonna group these together. And the trick is, if I make this anchor part the primary part of this model, that means as long as I have our torso or humanoid root parts position, it's better to use the humanoid root parts position because it doesn't move during animations. If I copy this and put it inside the model position, it will move the model to a position where it will move the primary part position along with all the other stuff relative to it to that position. So this anchor part will be anchoring the rest of our model to that position. Now another important thing is you can't forget about rotation, since we want to, you know, rotate the part to whatever the humanoid part is, or to whatever the player is facing towards too. So first we want to go to our anchor part and put in a decal. The decal will show you which way the part is facing using the property tab. It's on the front face of the part, so this part's already facing the right way. Only the anchor part needs to be facing the right way, because we're using the anchor part's position and rotation, not anything else. So you can rotate anything else however you want. Only the anchor part matters. Now, you might accidentally move it like this, but you need to keep, as long as it's facing forward, it doesn't matter where the decal is, but the decal is there to help you realize which way it's facing. Also, you should probably anchor all these parts too and turn off the can't collide, since you're not supposed to collide into them. They're just there for helping the script detect players. Now that we've got that set up, we want to move this model into server storage so we know where to use it, and name it something good like pull hitbox. Now we go into our script, and when our move runs, we want to clone this hitbox. Now, when stuff are cloned, they end up in this null area. Their parents are set to null, so you want to pull them out of that null place by setting the hitbox to the workspace, or setting the parent to the workspace. Now, if you want to test your hitbox, select your cloned hitbox, then use this thing called get pivot to. And what this allows you to do is it moves the entire model's position and rotation to a certain C-frame. You don't need to know what a C-frame is, just know it holds the part's position. So when your tool is equipped, it will be the tool's parent will be your player's character. So if we get our tool and get the parent, it will be your player's character. Then you want to get your player's humanoid root part and then get its C-frame. You want to set it to that. Now when I test it out, my hitbox will appear right in front of me. Now, before we continue with the script, we need to make some quick animations. And to start making an animation, you want to put down a valid dummy using this character button. Just use anything, like a block avatar is fine. You'll create a rig that you can animate. I'm using R6 for this video, but animation, you don't really need a tutorial. You just click on their character, you move it, you move this timeline. So this animation's 1 second. You move to you drag this is like the marker on what time your animation is. So if I want my arm to move up at this point, then I move it, and since I moved my arm at 0 at first, so the animation starts with the arm at 0 and it moves the arm up there. Now the only other thing that I would recommend you doing is setting the animation priority to action 2 so your walk animation doesn't override it. This is very important, by the way. Your animations might break if you don't set this action stuff properly. And after that, just like mess around with this, you will figure out quickly. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove these two, and my basic animation is just gonna be the arm straight forward for the pull. And maybe I should, yeah, it's just gonna be a pose. There's nothing special going on. Stick out his arm like this. And that's going to be my animation. Now after you're done animating, you want to click this button and click publish to Roblox, name it whatever you want, and then click save. And make sure you save this number right here, right? This number is very important. Now if you've saved your animation ID, what you want to do is create an animation object, type in animation, and then put your number inside of here. And now remember, I said when you equip the tool, your tool's parent becomes your player model. To make things simpler, you should make a variable of the player model right here, and then that makes it easier to do everything else. So there's this thing called variable scope that most people, I'm pretty sure, know about, where variables inside of here cannot be used outside of this if statement. It's inside of here, and when this function runs again, it makes a brand new player model every time it runs. But in this case, the player model will always be the player who equips the tool, and it would never change in any other circumstances, unless there's a bug that I didn't know about. Now that you've got that, to run your animation, you want to do player model dot humanoid load animation, and then you want to get your script, because the animation is right there. Get the parent, since the animation is next to the script, you can get the parent and then select the animation. You can't go directly from script to animation. You can only go up a level or down a level. And now for the last part, you gotta use the play method to play it, and then you press the play button to test, and it works after a delay. But I think we can fix that. Now, the main issue with our animation is that we load it as soon as we equip it, and loading takes time, because after I use it once, my second time, the animation will work properly. So the main problem with loading it before we equip it is that we won't know what the player model is, because when I don't have this equipped, it is not inside of our character, but when I equip it, it is. That's how we know. However, we can still know what it is, because when we unequip it, the tool will be stored under our player object. Under our player object, in our backpack, it will be here. That means if we get our tool, get the parent, which we are backpack, and then get the parent of our backpack, we will get our player object. And in our player object, conveniently, it contains a property called character, which has an instance property. If you don't know what that is, it's when you select this property, it references this object right here, which is our player character. So that means we can preload our animation as soon as the tool enters our character by local animation, and we can get our player model early. So we don't need this down here anymore. But I would still keep it here in case the tool parent changes or the player model changes. But for now, okay, for this tutorial, we'll move it up here. It will be tool.parent, which we are backpack, then our player, and then we get our character, which is the property that contains the player character of that player object. Player object and player character are different things, okay? This is really important. And now we can get our animation, which I put up here for some reason. And then we get our player model, humanoid, and then load the animation early. So now that we got the animation early, it will be preloaded and ready to run instantly when we finally run it in-game. Before we make the move functional, we have to first set up and remove all the other testing portions of the move and make some parts of the move look better. So obviously we need a wind up, and we don't want the player to move while we're casting the attack. So we're gonna add a wind up of 1 second, and during this wind up, our player cannot move. So we get our player model, get our humanoid, and we set our walk speed to 0. And then we can set our walk speed back after the move ends. So it will be at the end right here after all the move functions run, right? And by minimum, it will take 1 second. So I have this wait statement here. Let me move it down here so it's easier to see. And now we need to create our hitbox script. So where's the best place to put that? Well, after the hitbox moves into place. So we're gonna put this here, and our hitbox function will go right here. And now I also want to tell the player whether our move is on cooldown or not. So we're gonna change our tool's name to on cooldown when it's on cooldown, and universal pull when it's not on cooldown. Now, this is the most complicated part of this video, and I'll break it down line by line. First, we need to explain, or I need to explain what the for I, v, and pairs loop is. So this is a very commonly used loop, and what it does is, given a list stored inside of a table, so here I have this script, not part of the main script, I have a bunch of parts that are all A to G here. So this loop here allows me to loop through this entire table. So usually, okay, so the I is still the same as a normal for I loop. Each time it goes through, the I will increase by 1, and the V is which part is it currently on, which part is it looping through right now, and the part inside of in pairs is the table you are using. So if I do print V, it will print out every single part inside of the table that I listed out. Now, normally most people won't use the table like this. So if I do table B and get script, get children, most people would use the get children method to get all the parts inside of something. And what this does is, so I have my script which selects this, and then it has a colon called get children. And what this will do is it will return a table. Oh yeah, I don't need the table markers here. This method will create a table with all the parts inside of script under here, or all the objects. So even if there's like a folder or a model, these will also be added inside of the table. It doesn't just have to be one type of object. It can be anything. Anything as under the script will be part of the table using getChildren. So that's how the loop works. Now, if I print I with it, it will show what part of the loop is it currently on. So if I test this right here, the first loop gets starts at 1, and the first part is A, and then so on and so forth. The 7th part is G in the table. But for get children, I don't really know what the order is. So if we use table B inside this loop, it will also get the folder and model inside of here. And I think, and since this example is super like simple, it's just sorting it in alphabetical order. I think it does sort it in alphabetical order actually. So when I use table B using the get children, since folder and model are under script, it gets it using get children and loops through that too. Alright, time to talk about how the script works. So it's on a separate function. This is for organization purposes. So we run the function right here, hitbox detect. It takes one argument, which is pull hitbox.hitbox. And the reason why it's .hitbox is because remember, this is a model and our actual hitbox is this part called hitbox. So you have to get that. And now inside of our function, we are gonna keep in mind that hitbox is referring to this hitbox, the one that we clone and create in front of us. And first, it's the function split into two parts. The first if loop is to get all valid humanoids in the hitbox, and the second one is to get the closest humanoid to us that we're gonna use universal pull on. So the first loop is we have here local hit. This table here, we're gonna store all valid humanoids in. So, and this is where we get our table. And we're using this method called get parts and parts. What this does is say this is the part we're putting inside here, which is this argument here. Whatever part you put in here, it will return a table with all parts inside of it, not the character models, not models, only parts, only like physical parts, like mesh parts, object parts, just anything with parts in the name. And also I think it includes unions too. So we get that, and now that we have our table, we can iterate through all the parts inside that table. And to check for humanoids, we just get, let's say we get an arm here, we get the parent, which is usually the model, or if it's not a humanoid, then it will be something else. And then check if it has a humanoid. If it doesn't have a humanoid, it will return nil and fail this if statement. If not, blah blah blah. It will go through here and insert it into this table. And this if statement here is to make sure you don't hit yourself. Now for the second type of script, if you're like doing some computer class, you'd probably encounter this type of loop. It is a loop that finds the least amount, the smallest number inside of the table. And in this case, the smallest distance compared to the player. So I put some comments here to help show you what each line does. I forgot to do this one where it assigns new closest player. So you can pause it. It's just a loop. Double checks for humanoid. Gets the distance using this line, which is just getting their position, subtracting our position, and then getting the magnitude, which basically turns a vector 3, which is usually 3 numbers since it's a position, and then makes it into 1. It sums it up into 1. And that you can use to determine distance. Now, before we make our actual move, we should probably use our VFX. And this is a simple application of the VFX. We're going to use the same thing we did with the hitbox. So let's just position the VFX right in front of this part. Then I'm going to make it a little bit transparent, a lot more transparent, and do it like this. And the point of this VFX from right here is to create a little winding when they get pulled. So it will start like super small, and then when they get pulled, it will expand and spin at the same time. So I'm just gonna position it at this size right here. Actually, I'll make it a little smaller. There. And if you really want to align it, I think there's a align tool here. Just click these buttons until you get your yellow rod to be aligned with the block. Press align, and that should work. And then now all you gotta do is group these together. Hold up. There we go. Now it's time to explain how the first function works with the VFX applied. So we have our VFX, we clone it, we put it onto our character, we move into workspace so we can see it. And now it's time for this tween stuff. So the first thing is tween is it animates stuff. If I want this object to move from here to here slowly, it would look like kind of like this. It would like move slowly. You can see it. It's animating an object. So how it works is first you need the tween service, and it gives you, and the tween service has this create method, which takes in 3 parameters: the object you want to animate, the settings or the properties of the tween, and then the result of the tween. So we have our ring here, our VFX ring that we got from the toolbox, and then we got the properties here, which is the animation happens in 0.5 seconds with a style of circular. You can experiment with the styles. That's the easiest way to learn them. You cannot explain what the styles are. They all do different things. We're using circular for this, and the result is changing the properties. How tweening works is it gets the object, say this is the object, and it tweens it to a property. So let's say I want this to be size 14.114, just like in the script, but I didn't. So it will increase, it will like change this number size that I put into what I put inside of the script, and it will choose the most direct way to do it. So it would look like it would slow. So if I do a simpler shape where it just simply expands, it will like do the most direct way to reach that shape. So when I go and test it, when I use universal pull on this guy, I get this effect right here where it looks like it kind of exploded, and that's because I just increased the size of the ring, and I also make it fully invisible over the course of 0.5 seconds. And now for the polling part, I'm just tweening the victim's player model toward my position. So for this one, I create a new tween property for the polling tween, which is just the same thing with 1 second instead. And the result will be, I want to tween, the target of this new tween is the victim, the valid humanoid that will be hit. And then we'll move their primary part. And the fun thing about models, when you tween the model's primary part and the rest of the model isn't anchored, it will tween the entire model with it. So that's helpful. It will tween the entire character model with it. Then we do this, and then since the result is our own position, it will basically make their model get pulled to us, it will animate it toward us. So when I test this out, we will get a pretty cool result here, like this. And yeah, that is universal pull. Now all I gotta do is do some cleanup stuff. Like once this is over, I have to destroy any clones I created because they end up causing lag in the end. So I want to destroy that. I want to destroy the hitbox. I want to destroy the VFX in the end. And oh yeah, I forgot. We need to play our sound that we got from earlier in the video. So if I get this, universal pull. What you want to do actually is put this inside of your pull hitbox and put it inside your part. Why? Sounds have to be played from a part if you want it to be spatial. So, and since this is really just an invisible part that's put on top of us, that's the perfect place we want to emit our sound from. So on top of that, if this hitbox detector works, then let's also play the sound inside of it. So inside of pull hitbox, we have our part, which contains our universal pull sound, and then we play it. So now, when I play this, we have universal pull. And that is the end of this super beginner friendly tutorial. It is extremely long because I wanted to go super in depth with this. Maybe I'll post like a fast light version, which will probably be like 5 minutes for people who don't want to watch the full 22 minutes of this video. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.